Well, hello, I am Doug Golub, president at MediSked, and it's been a 20-year journey to get to where we are today with the best yet to come. I started out as a direct support professional while a graduate student, and that helped me to fall in love with the field of human services and understand the reality of the challenges to support people with disabilities to live their best lives. And it also launched me on a path to provide some tools that didn't exist 20 years ago to make it happen. I left this company for about 4 years and joined Microsoft in their health solutions group. And it was particularly helpful to get to see what life was like at a Fortune 100 company. And came back and we launched some new products and new lines of business that really helped us have the maximum impact, helping the most people, providing some of the best tools available at the time, and continuously improving, keeping in mind our focus, which is to be the leading brand in holistic solutions that improve lives, drive efficiencies, and generate innovations for health and human service organizations that support our community. For the past 20 years, I've been getting calls and emails about groups that want to make investments, and most of them went directly into spam. But something happened last year where the group was right and the time was right. This was a group that had researched us incredibly well, researched our field incredibly well. This was a group that has a history of being just hands-on enough to be helpful, but allow us to do what we do best, which is keep the client and the client's client first. And so this really allowed us to take the company to the next level, to have some of the resources available that we didn't necessarily have before, to be able to make some of the investments in tools for the future that we didn't necessarily have before, and to be able to do so as a much larger company that is a game changer for the market. And so we're super excited about the combined teams, and we are super excited about the clients that we have the opportunity to support. They do the most amazing work and they deserve the most amazing tools to be able to do that, both for operational tools and the tools that actually change outcomes for entire populations and for individuals over time. Some of the biggest challenges ahead have been there all along. They're just amplified. I've been at this work for over 20 years and serve on the board of the Anchor Foundation and read as much as I possibly can and participate in as much as I possibly can across the spectrum of health and human services. And really every couple of years, the top one or two top priorities tend to bounce around and change. Some years in the past it's been around cuts to certain programs. Of course, for the last several years, it's been about a public health emergency and access to PPE and staff and otherwise. It's always been a challenge to support our staff, and so we live in an environment that is largely funded by public funds. That in and of itself is a challenge to navigate. What that means is it's really important that we remember that this is not necessarily a business-to-business world. These are people's lives. Recognizing that on the software side, there are some things that we can do to have a positive impact, making it easier for the staff to be able to do what they need to do, providing some tools within the software to help recognize staff, to help them help them feel good about the great work that they're doing, showing them graphs and trends and some of the positive outcomes of the work that they're doing. We as the software vendor partner aren't necessarily going to be the ones that can raise salaries or do the recognition directly, but the software can provide tools to help the organizations to save money, to reinvest, to perform better on audits, and ultimately to show progress in a way that actually reconciles pretty well with the public funding, the need to show outcomes, and the individuals in their health, welfare, and safety. The biggest strength of our company, well, there are two. There are three. One is our people. 2 is our technology, 3 is our clients and the great work that they do. Not necessarily in that order. They're all tied for first. And over the past 20 years, we've accumulated a team of some of the best and brightest, smart, passionate, and friendly folks that have the technical know-how, the consultative approach, and the actual interest in improving lives for people with disabilities. We've also had the opportunity to partner with some of the finest organizations in the entire country and to be able to provide them with tools to improve people's lives so that we can, in some small way, take pride in the great work that they do. And we see it every day as we look at data trends and we start to see more people connected to housing opportunities, connected to employment opportunities, with better food options, with better health outcomes. We have the opportunity every day to look at the data and look at the trends and work with some of the finest organizations in the country to keep those needles moving in the right direction. We see that as our greatest strength. Going into the future, we are looking to continue to make investments in innovation, providing those tools. We know that the world has changed a lot in our last 20 years, and for the future of services, they're not going to look like the past, hopefully. We've seen an evolution in services and home and community-based services over the last 60 years. I may not be here for the next 60, maybe I will, for the next 60 years, but over the next 10, 20 years, we're going to see that services are provided to individuals in more integrated ways than ever. That see our work with state governments and counties and managed care organizations, providing those person-centered tools to be able to support people to live the life they choose and to live their best life. And we continue to make investments in those ways with more opportunities, more contracts to do that, more innovation. We were the first to market with a portal of any of its kind. We were the first to market with mobile tools for GPS, which is now electronic visit verification. We were first to market with some of the tools necessary to have really, really precise assessments, automatically generating service plans for goals, supports, and tasks. We've got a lot more firsts coming, and that's what innovation is all about. And we've got a private equity backing now that lets us bring those first to market faster and better than we ever have before, and I couldn't be more excited about that.